Florida State was on national television for their bowl game last week, but something way beyond the game is what most people will remember about the contest between Florida State and Oklahoma. Hey guys, thanks for coming to the channel. Thanks for watching the video and thanks for hanging out with us today. Do me a favor on this one. This is a deeply personal video. I know a lot of times we're breaking down what's happening in recruiting or transfer portal or with the game. This one means a little bit more, so do me a favor and hit the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on today's subject. If you're not already, smash that subscribe button. We appreciate the support and the growth. We're inching close to 5,000 subs. Excited about getting there and would love if you could help us hit that goal. Florida State's bowl game against Oklahoma. We've talked about it a ton. We've covered it. Florida State wins in dramatic comeback fashion, gets their 10th win of the season. But something happened during that game that I want to talk about. We've alluded to a little bit, but a catastrophic injury happens to Jazston Turnetine, and it was so bad that ESPN said they didn't even want to show the replay. It moved the ESPN announcers to tears. What happened next? Something that no one expected. As you guys know, Jazston goes down. They bring out the cart. They bring out the stretcher. He's got to be lifted off of the field and taken into the locker room. Cannot put any weight on his leg. And the entire Florida State roster, the entire team comes out and wishes him well. High fives, hugs, tears, all of the above as he's being carted off the field. I just want to tell you guys something. I've watched a lot of football, and we've watched a lot of football, and teams usually do get down on one knee. They get into huddles, and they say prayers for their fallen teammate, whatever the situation is. But I've not seen this in a college football game. Jazz was up. He was responsive. I know there have been other injuries even this week in the NFL and things that have been pretty scary, but Jazz was up and moving, and he was good. But for the team to come out in the final game of the year and show their love and show their appreciation and show their respect for their fallen teammate as he was being carted off the field, it's something that the entire sports world has talked about for the last week. And to me, it was the biggest defining moment of this game. Yes, getting to 10 wins was huge. Implementing the comeback and getting the game-winning field goal, all that was huge. And that's honestly what people will remember. I get it. But this spoke to something so much bigger than just the result of a football game or the final score of a football game. Guys, Jazz was a transfer into Florida State. This wasn't some fifth-year senior that was beloved and had been on the squad for half a decade. He had been on this team for a little over 4 months. He played together with this team for a little over 4 months. Yet, even though he was a transfer, he was so loved and accepted by his teammates that ESPN announcers were moved to tears. Norvell spoke about it in the press conference afterwards, and he was emotional as well. I don't want to turn this into a recruiting pitch or anything like that, because I legitimately feel bad for Jazz, and it sucks that he got hurt the way he did. But if that doesn't say something to people that are thinking about transferring into Florida State, about the culture and the acceptance that this roster will show folks, then nothing will. For a team to do what Florida State's team did in clearing the bench to come support their fallen guy, I don't think you could have any better representation of culture. Speaking of that culture, after the UF game, who was it that paraded the Gator head around? It was Jazz, along with other guys, right? It wasn't just him. I know a lot of guys have pictures with the head, but it wasn't, again, a fifth-year senior or Robert Cooper, a guy that's been around forever. It was Jazz that paraded that Gator head around. And I think it speaks to the we're all we have and we're all we need mentality, this family attitude that Mike Norvell has installed, this culture at Florida State. Jordan Travis, a couple of weeks ago, stepped in to show love and remind Hakeem Williams to stay focused and stay hungry when he went back and forth with Travis Hunter. Remember the Deuce Spann incident where Mike Norvell coached him up on the sideline in the middle of a massive game that the Noles were winning by about 40 points down in South Florida, and then immediately went right back to him on the very next play. The culture at times in certain places gets overhyped and overrated. We talk way too much about it. But I think you've seen specific instances this year that Norvell is and has installed a culture that is unlike anything we've seen here. The way that the guys rally and fight for each other, whether it's during the game or during a pause in the game when one of their guys goes down is something that I think is remarkable. I want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at garnetandgold.com. If you're watching this video, you're an FSU fan or you know an FSU fan, you need to be shopping at garnetandgold.com. You can use code NOSLAW, that's NOSLAW, to get 15% off of your order. They have the best FSU gear, licensed merch. We're getting close into baseball and softball season. I know you guys are jacked about that. So make sure you're shopping at garnetandgold.com. They give back to our student athletes as well as our boosters and save some money. They have the best customer service, the quickest shipping, and they are great people to work with. Garnetandgold.com, NOSLAW, NOSLAW at checkout for 15% off. Florida State's culture is also different than that of other programs. Unlike the rivals, and I don't mean to call anybody out, Miami and Florida have a long way to go to get their culture back, but they're building over there at player-first attitudes. They're bringing in mercenaries, which lead to mass exoduses in the transfer portal. Cristobal said stuff that sounds good, and Napier talks about culture there at Florida, but we just haven't seen that be the case yet. Now, they're only in their second years each there, and it may take time for that culture to build up, but right now, it's not there. Similar to what Norvell did in his first couple of years. What I think is so crazy about the way that Norvell has done it is he's turned it around in such a quick time. From where this culture was in 2019 and 2020 when he took over to really where it was last year in 2021 and now in 2022 is just impressive beyond belief. We'll see if other teams are able to mimic that or copycat that, but I just don't know that it's necessarily the case. Want to know how I know it's true? Look at the way that Norvell talks about guys after they leave the program on social media. Guys will declare for the draft or declare for the transfer portal, and Norvell is there sharing their posts talking about what great teammates they were and how somebody else is going to go out and get an absolute baller. He did this with Jamie Robinson. He did this with Amari Gaynor. He's done this with so many guys, and I think it really speaks to the character of how much Norvell really does love his team and how much the team loves each other. You always see players doing that. Go ball out or go do well. I've never seen a coach go above and beyond and do it like Norvell does. Norvell talked with me at ACC Media Days in 2021 about a life that is lived by service. And I think that that's the biggest thing. The teammates and the players and the coaches and the staff, all of the entire unit of the program lives to serve each other. And they do a phenomenal job of that. They're there when it's needed, whether it's being carted off with a game-ending injury, whether it's fighting back in a tough two-score deficit in a bowl game, or whether it's just supporting each other through NIL or other off-field activities that the team has. The culture that's been installed is really pretty remarkable. Again, ESPN announcers see and hear a lot of things. A lot of us see and hear a lot of things. But when you can move people to emotion based on the character that you show on national television, it's something pretty different. Guys, do me a favor. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that you comment below. What did you think when this happened the other night during the bowl game? Love to chat with you down below. Appreciate you guys for watching. Go Noles.